in Iraq among military personnel. Suicide programming is a clue that there is programming going on, because in every matrix in the programming, they always put a suicide alter. When programming becomes invalid or something is going wrong, the internal programmer in the matrix kicks in and terminates the person. So yes, what you're saying is true. A lot of what's going on in Iraq is being broadcast. In fact, during the first Gulf War, there were military aircraft dropping leaflets over Iraq, and the leaflet said, resistance is futile. Now, where did you hear that before, except on the Star Trek program with the Borg? So, science fiction becomes reality. Why do you think that the guards, the National Guard of Iraq, surrendered like that in the first war? Just automatically, they were trained to fight to the death. It's because of mind control that was being programmed. They had helicopters there that are transmitting mind control waves to the entire population. There were no terrorist activities in Iraq before we invaded. We brought that in there. We are creating all of these problems, and more people are dying in Iraq now than ever before. Under Saddam Hussein, yes, he was a totalitarian person, but people didn't die like they're dying now. So we have to look at all that, and in order to be a soldier in a situation where you know something is wrong and you know something, the government is doing something not right, the only way to circumvent people from knowing that publicly is by programming them, the soldiers, so that when they come back or they talk to the media, that they're going to promote the government line. Now that, Timothy McVeigh, who was accused of exploding the Murrah building in Oklahoma City, was also in Iraq and Kuwait during the First War. He said, I was programmed there. And no sooner did he say that while he was in prison, a few days later they executed him. So yes, what you're saying is absolutely correct. I would urge you and members of your family to maybe learn some deprogramming techniques that you can apply and maybe help bring these people back to their normal state of mind. By the way, in October and November, I am having a conference which is going to teach this kind of work of deprogramming, using the mind, integrating self. That's all available on the website if you go and look. And, of course, it's in my new book, 13 Cubed. Read that, learn the techniques in there, apply them. Even if you don't believe me, even if you don't want to accept that this is the truth, just try it for yourself and see what comes up in your own mind. You'll be fascinated by what you will see in your own mind.
East of the Rockies, you're up with us. Hello there.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
My name is Carolyn. I'm from Baltimore.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi. I really appreciate your guest, and I agree with some of what he says. Although I don't subscribe to all of the reptilian stuff nor the alien stuff.
Okay.
I personally don't feel like there's going to be, a show like he seems to think there is, and I'm a Bush supporter, by the way. But I wanted to say that I really do appreciate the well thought out and well discussed comments regarding mind control. I think that there are some points that he's made that are absolutely right on. And I think that some of the excesses that I noticed in the dialogue probably come from, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he was a victim also of some of that programming. And I'm not trying to step on any toes, and I'm trying to do this gently. I think that maybe some of the excesses are a little bit because of that. But I think that, you're right on with a lot of the things. I know somebody that went through something similar to that during the 50s and early 60s, and they have a recollection of a house, although not a castle by any means. It's a burned-out house. And it's very interesting to think that perhaps in each of those rooms with that person, there lies, some sort of an altar. Their family had been involved with the Pentagon and different things like that, and they had a very great pride in serving, even, I think, as a child. And so there is that juxtaposition of victimization versus, the veterans, that the children that were veterans at that time. And so for me, it's very interesting that it's coming to the forefront where people can begin to talk about this. And I'm hoping that perhaps our country can get past it, recognizing the contribution of the children and their innocence and their veteran status, and begin to move past some of these things. And I think that will provide it'll actually probably knock the legs out of some of the people that, don't have our best interests at heart. They won't be able to operate so without, any sort of safeguards. People will begin to be able to look at what they're doing because they'll be talking about what they're doing. And I really do appreciate what you're saying. And, the other thing that this person had is numbers. And it was like a recognition of even numbers, one specifically, that seemed to lead to tunnels, of immense amounts of information where they felt they could stretch, where they hadn't stretched for a long time. And so this reintegration is very interesting to watch them go through. And although I don't agree with the alien stuff, and I'm not into the reptilian stuff, I know
Okay,
a lot
well,
of
you've said that, Carolyn. You're going to repeat yourself, so let's get his take on some of this. Go ahead, Stuart.
Well, I'm not sure if there's a question there, and I do appreciate Carolyn at least being open-minded to the mind control and programming. Yes, of course, my experiences do color my viewpoint of what's going on out there. And as I've talked about on other shows, both on this one and others, I have spent at least 17 years now in self-deprogramming, and I'm still not done, and I never claimed to be fully integrated. I still have my own triggering issues, except that now, when I do get triggered, I am consciously aware of it. I'm grateful to be married to my wife, Janet, who is also involved in this work, and she actually points out to me when I'm being triggered. And
so you believe you're still programmed somehow?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Yes, absolutely. And except that now I have a greater awareness of what that programming is and how it's affecting my life, and I know how to circumvent that and avoid the full activations. When you're programmed very deeply, as people from Montauk program were, it's pretty much a lifelong deprogramming experience. You can't do the deprogramming techniques for a few days or a few months and say, okay, I'm all done now. It's not like that. It's layer and layer and layer and layer, and you need to really chip away at it. It's like having a toothpick against an iceberg and trying to get to the core of it. And so the programming isn't put in so simply that you can just undo it. That's why I teach deprogramming and tell people to do this constantly. It becomes a way of life, and the more you do, the more you reintegrate. And my hope is that if you can get at least a good chunk of the programming reintegrated into your natural oversoul mind pattern, then it'll kind of be a critical mass that'll turn the tide and reverse the rest of it automatically.
Stuart, I'd love for you to be wrong. I'm not so sure you are. I think you're right on some things. Some of the others are a little far-fetched, but you know what? Anything's possible anymore, I think.
George, I appreciate you saying that, because there are days when I say, I really hope I am wrong. But then I'll see something on the news, or a client will come to me, and there it is right there in my face again, and it is true. And unfortunately, every day, all you got to do is put the news on, and you see it over and over again. Everything is happening. In Montauk, back in the early 70s, we were told what this time period was going to be like. And it's true. Everything they told us back then is happening now. Their agenda is being fulfilled. And, of course, their perspective was that human beings were so violent and ignorant that they could not possibly be in control of this planet by themselves. They needed to be controlled. Otherwise, there would be total chaos on this planet. I don't totally agree with that, but quite honestly, when I look out at the world and I see the way people treat each other, I start to wonder about, what hope is there sometimes, because people can be very mean and cruel to one another. So my hope is not only will they deprogram, but they'll learn how to treat each other positively and civilly and unconditionally, and that will be a perfect society.
I'd love to buy dinner for you, Stuart, and Alex Jones, and tape it and play it back on the show. You two, have you heard of Alex?
Of course. In fact, he's advertised some of my things on his site.
Great. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi, this is John from Bonnie Lake, Washington.
Hey, John.
And I would like to give you a little bit of a scenario here and then ask the opinion of the gentleman.